Hey guys, today we'll be solving lead code number 2784. This is the daily problem for today, and it is also an easy question actually. I think the problem description itself is a bit unclear. Besides that, the solution itself is pretty easy actually. Uh, I will try to simplify the question statement as much as possible. So the thing is, right, essentially what they want is we are given an array, let's say 1 2 3 3, right? And essentially the maximum in that array, right, the maximum in that array is something that can be repeated twice, whereas everything else can only be repeated once. So if we had 4, let's say 4 being the maximum in the array, then we would have 1 2 3 and then 4 and 4, right? Any other numbers inside would mess up the thing, so we can't have like 5 in the middle, right? We just can't have that. And if we even have 5 here, it should not work essentially. Even if we had any other array, it has to be point to point, very clear in terms of the frequencies. Now they explain it as a permutation, right? uh, and well, if you've done a bit of lead code, then permutation you might have thought dynamic programming, but not really. In this question, the what they mean by permutation is really simple. How do we determine the frequencies of characters? Essentially, how do we determine the frequency of numbers? Well, of course we use a hash map, right? And that's literally the whole basis of this question. So the first thing, right, how do we figure out the maximum in an array? Well, of course we just do a sort. You can do like a O of n, but for the purposes of this question we will do a sort. I'll show you the trick as to why we sort. But first I'll do this sorted nums. So we'll do nums as sorted. Alright, now our maximum should be at the very end of the array essentially, right? Because if we consider the whole array, then the sort takes it to the very last position. And now let's do our hash map. So like I said, how do we how do we determine what frequencies to add where, right? Well, essentially we will make this frequency our target. So let's just make this our target dict, okay? In the sense that it will hold the rule. So it will have the rule one times for every other element besides the maximum. So how do we write that out? So what we can do first is we will initialize it to 1, right, for num and nums, or for I in range 1 through maximum plus 1, right? We want to include the maximum as well. So it will look something like this for this area. Essentially it will look 1 1 2 1, sorry, 1 1 1, 1 for each. Okay, now like I said, the maximum can be repeated twice, and well, fortunately we've stored the maximum, so we just need to do one extra step. Let's just do frequency of the maximum plus equals to 1, and this way we remove the 1 over here and we now get 2, and that corresponds to the target array that we want essentially. Now that we have this, right, this is our target, right? And let's just loop through. Well, how do we determine whether the given array that we have is actually the correct, like the one that we need to meet target? Well, then we can just equate their two dictionaries, obviously. So if we do have another dictionary now, so if we do another dictionary and we just loop through the array, and this time This time we just add our frequencies as is, and like I said, if the array itself that's given to us is proper, then it will follow the rule that every number 1 through 2 to n minus 1, right, they will all have a frequency of 1, and n itself will have a frequency of 2, right? That's how we did it for this, right? So if we went through our numbers list, and we found that scene was the same as the frequency, or our target in this case, well, then we would be happy to say yes, it is a good array. So at the end, just return whether the two dictionaries are equal. And that's pretty much it for this question.